welcome back. Today is actually kind of a special day. We recently kind of had videos for my 10 years on Tumblr and like 10 years of sharing Sims content in like still form, but I looked and it's actually been 4 years on YouTube. Can you believe? I certainly cannot. I'm notoriously terrible when it comes to keeping up with things like this. Like, I'll start it, I'll be really excited about it, and then like maybe a couple weeks in, I'm bored and I just don't do it ever again. So I thought we would go ahead and finish touring Edirann today, since that really is my bread and butter. It is my heart and soul. It's not flashing. I know you see some pink soup. Sometimes I just get pink soup skirt issues is what I call them, and there's different ones. This dark pink, usually if I load the lot and like leave and come back, like it'll be fine. But I also get these ones, which are just like a lighter soup color, and a lot of times those just stay. I don't know. We're not worrying about it though, because like I said, she's not flashing, and she's so pretty when she doesn't flash. It's just, it's so pretty. But yeah, we saw the medieval peasanty, I don't know why I said medieval, but we saw the peasants, and we saw the gentry, which are over here. I really do love this map, although I kind of wish it was a little bit bigger, enough that I'm considering buying SimCity again, even though I already bought it, and I resent buying it again, but it's just like my Steam account wasn't connected at the time that I bought it, and it's a whole thing. But I would just love, I think, more roads over here, and like more over here, because like I would like it to eventually be sprawling and for these two to be connected and not so separate. But I also don't have the Sims to really fill that, so it's kind of unnecessary. St. Persephone's is over here. We do have like a little shrine over here that's just unconnected, and then we have some kind of undeveloped areas. Basically, this is the prison, that's a watchtower, mine, quarry, like not really being developed. And then over here it's like the warehouse, so eventually like docks, wharf kind of things. But that's not what we're focusing on today. We're focusing on the bulk of the city. This is kind of, a lot of people call it Edirann proper. It's just like the main part of the city, which includes the castle, which is kind of weird looking because honestly, after building it so many times, the row house is just so functional to me personally that like I'm never gonna let it go. I have moved everybody out of the apartments because unfortunately they were super buggy, but like they still look nice, so I'm leaving them. There's no point in taking them out, but you know and I know that there's nobody in those apartments. We'll pretend there's guests, I don't know, and also having this separate pleases me. So yeah, like we'll just stop right at the top. We have the throne room, which you have seen in pictures. That is where I take the Blumenthals at the beginning of every round, so we've only seen it twice now, but I really enjoy it. I would show you, but it's owned, so it would yell at you. The actual Blumenthal family, I don't think they lived there. Okay, they do. I moved them. That's right. Okay. So the Blumenthals live here. This is our royal family. So this is Arndt Blumenthal, his wife Bernique, and their pile of children. Recently, their son Isidore actually aged up, which is going to be causing some complications because he aged up in a big way. And I'm kind of building this idea of, and it wasn't on purpose, it just kind of organically happens. Now I'm building on it, but essentially there is a lot of young women in Edirann with solid claims to the throne that never really were made to give up those claims personally. We have Sinra Flenley, who, that's the next house in the agenda if it would ever stop crashing. I don't know why the game's not loading for me, but give it a minute, it's fine. Okay, sorry, I just got so distracted by dogs. They were being very cute and they were spooning. But anyways, I wrote a note on my computer. It says Sinra Flenley. So Sinra Flenley, her mother is Ava Flenley, who is a Kenton, and her dad married Ava, that's Edward, and then kind of like gave up his wife's claim for her. She didn't really get that choice because she also was not on Arndt Blumenthal's side. She was firmly on the side of her relatives and kind of got betrayed by her husband, and she was even kind of under house arrest for a little bit. So Sinra technically doesn't have a right to the throne, but I don't know if that matters so much because she also didn't give it up. And more importantly, Ava never technically gave it up either. And Edirann's, in terms of like, there's not a patriarchy, but like, it's flexible. So, yeah, there's a lot of drama there. There's also Salome, who is Arndt's oldest daughter, who was kind of raised for a number of years as the heir apparent because he had Salome, then he had Katinka, blah, then he had Lara, and finally Isildur was born. So Isildur has 3 older sisters. He's technically the heir, but like, is he? And then there's also the youngest, Liseled. So Salome, I haven't known what to do with her. For a while I was looking for like someone else who has like a kingdom challenge sort of thing that maybe wants to take her as a spouse, but with the way things are going, and especially with Isildur rolling to kind of not really want to be a prince, and he's very over emotional. I can see him being kind of in awe of his older siblings because they're so polished and so poised. Even Katinka, who's kind of a mess, everyone still really loves her, whereas everyone's kind of standoffish with Isildur, and I think part of that is because Arndt didn't want anybody to take advantage of his son, so he kind of kept him isolated, but in a way it's backfired a little bit. So yeah, interesting things happening. Now over here, I call these the Grace and Favor Apartments. I know that that's a real term, but like, I saw it in a book once and I was like, huh, and it's an English-based term. From my understanding, old castles have apartments for like old pensioners. I've never looked it up, I'm not sure if that's true, but like, in Edirann's case, it's basically, they don't own this property, because I always wanted to be kind of like Versailles, because in The Sims it makes sense. Like, I did try to have them in like family homes, family dwellings on separate subhoods, and it broke my game. So instead, like, it's like Versailles, they have to stay here, but it's only at the will of Arndt Blumenthal, and at any point they could be kicked out, and then they'll go to like their family home. Most noble families have like a house in town, and then they have a theoretical home on the lands and property that they own elsewhere, but that does not exist within the game. So we have a few families here. We have the Blumstein family, which is Lenny, Arndt's sister. Pretty sure Babs' cat, and her poor baby Gallivant. Her husband died. It was a whole thing. She's kind of a wreck. We then have the Oakley family, which is Werner, Claretta, Sander, Teresa, and Vilmer. I'm fairly certain. Let's see. I even have, oh god, everything's in the way on my desk. You're gonna hear noise. You're gonna hear noise. That's just all there is to it. I have dice everywhere. Let's see what the titles are. No. Sorry. I have animals and they're obnoxious sometimes. So yeah, the Oakley family actually has the Lesser Duke, I couldn't remember which one, the Lesser Dukedom of Drago. There are 2 Dukes of Drago. There is the Duke of Drago and the Lesser Duke of Drago. Basically, at one point there were brothers. Where can these go? What? On the floor. Hopefully the dogs don't eat them. But yeah, there were 2 brothers at one point, and they were so wealthy that they basically were both dukes, but like one was not the oldest. It's since passed down, been a number of years. The dukedom is claimed through Claretta, who is a Drago, but like, she was not really in line to get it, but the Oakleys sided with Arndt, and so they ended up with that title, much to the dismay of a lot of the Drago family. We have another Blumenthal family, which are sisters Ludwika and Nadzeja. They are cousins to Arndt, and if you're following me on Tumblr, they're actually, well, Nadzeja is kind of thinking about marrying Anxo Drago, who is the main Duke of Drago, but so far hasn't really made a decision there. They're being kind of cute, but they do live kind of near each other, which is cute. Next up, the Duke of Drago, Anxo Drago, and his mother Ursula, who is actually in charge. She has always been in charge, she always will be in charge. I wouldn't say she's a toxic boy mom, but like, Anxo is really all she has, and so... And she was originally, Ursula was originally a merchant's daughter who married very well. I believe Ferruccio was her husband, and then he died. She sided with the Kentons, didn't work out. They were both imprisoned, and she got them out and got him his title back. So, like, Ursula's amazing. Next door to them, we have another Blumenthal family, which is Lovejoy, his children, Blanca and Stefan, and his wife, Roisin, who was recently kidnapped and is kind of the reason Lenny's husband is dead. Now, Lovejoy is, I think, a cousin. I think his sisters are actually, yeah, his sisters are these two over here. He is... No, he's not. Okay, so Gallivant is actually the Duke of Blumenthal. Lovejoy is the Earl of Blumenthal. I thought it was the other way around. So yeah, Lenny's son is a Duke. Just throw that out there. Lovejoy is an Earl. And those two have like a whole storied, loved nonsense thing going on that I'm not going to talk about because, like, it's just too much. Roisin kind of annoys me as a character sometimes, but, like, she's also not wrong. Like, she's kind of hard to write because she's a little bit selfish, but, like, not in a way that's, like, harmful, but just, like, she will put herself first. It's like, sometimes I wish I could be that way. I don't know. Up next, we have the O'Neill family. We have Shripati, who is a baron. He's a new baron. His wife Ethel, and Race is their son. They do have, I thought they had... Oh yeah, so they do have another son, Nikephoros. No, Nikephoros isn't their son. I'm looking at my title page, which unfortunately doesn't have the family tree. I know they had another son who didn't want to be... He didn't want to be titled, and so instead he gave that up and he's off being a priest. I don't think it's Nikephoros though. I think that's actually Shripati's half-brother. So yeah, they live there, and then the Raymond family, which is Juan, who is Juan Raymond the townie, Sela, their two children, Malfalda and Calixto, and their cat, Snowdrop. The Raymond family is also a set of barons, and also it's kind of important where you're placed to kind of determine, that's why there's spaces, it's not just build out. How important you are to aren't is how close you are. With the exception of Lenny. Normally Lenny probably would be right across the street, but like she's also grieving, kind of not in a good headspace. I think she wanted to be away from everything, so that's why she's further down. The last family we have is the Trumbauer family. They are also barons. Marlene, Linus, and you'll see Albrecht, which I don't know if I made that clear on Tumblr while it was playing through the whole round, but Albrecht actually did ultimately move back with his family. He's been away for a very long time, but he was shamed by his daughter to come back and deal with the Linus situation, which essentially Linus was born shortly. Marlene is gorgeous. Everybody likes her. She's a romance sim. Like, she's very flirty, but like she didn't cheat on her husband. But Albrecht just got super jealous. It was a random current scenario that he basically left his family convinced that his spouse was going to cheat on him, and he just never came back. Well, then there was why can't I think of the word? ACR. It was an ACR incident where she booty called Albrecht and he came, and then she got pregnant and had a baby. In the original save before this, because I've rebuilt it here in a few times, she did have a son. However, this time, like, I kept re-rolling and re-rolling and re-rolling, and it kept being a girl, kept being a girl, kept being a girl. I got annoyed. And then I was like, actually, it would be kind of funny and very in keeping with Marlene's character that if she had a daughter, she would lie. Because the only way that she could control the barony at that point is if she had a son, she could control it through her son, since Albrecht was off being a brat. She at the time was also taking care of Albrecht's mother, who had a random current scenario to basically be uncontrollable. So it's like insanity was the technical thing, but I just make it so I'm not allowed to control them. Not fun when you have a family sim and babies in the house. She had to be locked out of many rooms. But that was Bettina, and yeah, so like Marlene lied, but now it's all coming home to roost because Linus is a teenager and he has been raised to think he is a boy his whole life. I would say that's currently what he identifies as. We'll see more once, because they still haven't really told Linus that, hey, so just so you know, Linus doesn't know yet. yeah, that's basically the castle proper kind of thing. I need to load that can a lot. There's obviously some attachments. I've got this old bit of ruins here. We've got some just random deco buildings. This is the royal stable here, which is super cool. I like that you can actually see the horses. Over here is the royal kennel. Eventually that's going to be run by Edirann Cormier, hopefully. Over here are basically homes that were put together for people that are indentured but don't really have families at this point. But obviously the crown is fully responsible for anyone indentured. They can't be indentured to anybody else but the king himself, which is kind of his way of making sure there's some oversight and everyone's taken care of. Now there is Marisol and her daughter Anna Sophia. Marisol does have a husband, but he's in jail. We're not going to worry about him. That's Oisin O'Neill, funnily enough. And yeah, so she's in this red house here. She actually is one of the servants that takes care of the Blumenthal family. And we have Comu. I can say it in my head, but I can't really pronounce it out loud. Comu is what we're going to go with. Kaiser. And he recently aged up in the cloister. And rather than go back home in the peasants' quarters, he has taken a presidency here. These are just nice. They're all the same, basically the same build. I just changed the wallpaper and some of the plants outside. And it's just where they're supposed to get a start. It's really convenient to have, I call them bachelor dwellings, but like similar dwellings just in a row. You can tell that I like that, but in particular these are super helpful. Now, I do have lots that are undefined currently, because I'm not sure what I want to do with them yet. I'm pretty sure that they're defined, like in terms of like, when you place a lot, you have to name it. So like, let's see, yeah, these were originally placed as like apartments. I thought about separating the royal children out into like a nursery. I didn't really like that idea. I was gonna put servants. Things have changed since I placed those down, but I don't. Technically they're in the nobles' quarters, but I don't really want these to be noble houses right behind the Grace and Favor apartments, so I'm just not sure what to do with them yet. But we'll go ahead and check out the nobles' quarters. So the Jung family did used to be in one of these apartments, and I moved them. And now they have like their own full-on home, just over here, which is the most prestigious place, I would say, because they're very close to the Grace and Favor apartments without actually being in it. And the idea with these noble houses is like they own them outright, but you're only allowed to buy in a position that Arndt approves of. You can't just buy the land. So the Jung family, I would say Methuselah Jung is Arndt Blumenthal's oldest and closest friend. They were both indentured together before the war, before Arndt became king. And he has treated his old friend very well. His friend is a duke. Methuselah is actually married to his second wife, Oda. His first wife did die, giving birth to their son, Ishvi. But he does have more sons now, Micah. Amsai is how I've always pronounced that. I don't know if that's actually how it's supposed to be pronounced, but whatever. And then Hila Snow is Methuselah's sister. She's not really, she doesn't really have a class because she's complicated, but she lives with her brother. I do still have one person in an apartment. I got lazy and I didn't want to move him. Also, I just love this building because I did like this little side building on there, which I saw in an inspiration photo. I thought it looked cool. So part of me wants to try to move them out. It's so big, they wouldn't be able to afford this on their own. I was gonna say make it residential, but I'm gonna probably move them elsewhere. For now, the Caslow family lives here. This is, of course, Taylor Caslow, his wife Briseis, Hector, and Polyimna. And they are, technically, he's an earl, but like people don't really like the Caslow family. They think they're kind of upstarts, so they should probably be placed a little bit lower than they are. Then we have the Flenley family, which is a double dukedom. This is Sinra's family, so Edward, Ava, their son Edwin, who quote-unquote should earn, he's over-emotional and yeah, he should be the one getting the dukedom, but Sinra is not having it. And then they recently adopted little Ash, and then they have a cat called Simmy. There's also the McNaught family, who are earls. So there is Katrin, who is related to the Blumenthals. I believe she's Arndt's sister, younger sister. Calhoun is her husband. They have a daughter, Brenly. I believe Haven is his son. And Juanita is... Waniata. I always thought it was Juanita. Waniata is their other daughter. And then Benny. I got a lot of Sims, okay? We also have some Van Allsburgs, because I got a million of them. And they are earls. Pretty high placed, I would say. Barthélemy, Amelie, who recently got her wishes in terms of getting her lady's maid. Their heir is Aben. Who is that? Matthew. Okay, that's right. I was like, why is he out of words? Because I moved them back in the household. Matthew is their heir, and then their second son, Aben. Toussaint, their daughter Estelle, and then their youngest son, Francis. Pretty big family. I do enjoy them. This is an empty property. I just kind of built a noble house there, so someone potentially will be living there. We have the Cavalario family, who are, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, barons as well. Carl is not really well connected or well positioned, so that's why he's kind of on the edge. So there is Carl, and then he's got a bunch of kids. So Nathalie, Marta, Lovis, Claes, Pernilla, and then Runa, who is a luck baby that he basically cheated on his wife to have, which is socially approved of, but like his wife didn't like it. And those are the only actual nobles, although recently Joseph Hartmann did get approved to buy a barony, so the next time you see him he will be a baron. His son Godric will be his heir. Charlemagne is his second wife, but obviously he still cares about her. And then they recently got a ward, Munro Roke. We also have a park here, which is the park, I believe, from my opening video. It's very cool. These are my knights, which is just Icarus at the moment. I haven't built it out completely, but like the House of Commons is here. This is supposed to be where people vote. We have a Dietlif Heydrich, who's like a magician, so he's kind of just hanging out here because he's caused problems and he's trying to fix them. These are, okay, so leather worker and a blacksmith, so they kind of smelly trades, but useful trades, so they're kept just far enough away. God, I'm just rambling on. We're already 22 minutes in. Over here we have merchants. So we have Merchants Row, which is these houses here, which I don't ever intend to have there be more houses than this, because this is meant to be kind of the most well-off merchants. So even if we end up with more merchants than would be able to be situated here, they just wouldn't be, like, these are the top 8. If there's a merchants guild eventually, like, these guys are the ones in it. So we have the Stramakia family, who actually ended up in control of the O'Neill spice market, even though they technically shouldn't have either, but Pedregan got it kind of by default, and no one's tried to take it away. Her husband is Lionel. They have a bunch of sons. They got a daughter. Like, they got a bunch of kids. They got a bunch of kids and dogs. We also have the Greg family. They're kind of potters. So Johann, Jem. They also have a bunch of daughters. They have a son too, but yeah, they're kind of known for pottery. The Strickland family, which is Butch Strickland and his, I think, niece? Yeah, niece, Luna Dawn. Butch runs Strickland Bakery, which was actually opened by his adoptive mothers. He took Leona in because his adopted sister, Leona, was, Tippy is his adopted sister and she owns a brothel, so like Leona didn't want that anymore, so it's a complicated situation as well. And then lastly, in Merchants Row, we have the Langer family, which I think, oh, was it Wool? I'm pretty sure it's Wool. But we have Theopanes, Abathiasha, Dinesh, and Farth. And I think that's all for like my main merchant families. I do want to build a park here eventually, tavern. That's the spice market there. We have the pottery kind of shed there, although another family's recently got approval to have a pottery kind of business. Booksellers, not owned by anybody yet. This, I believe, is a tailor's shop. Yeah, not owned by anybody. I built a lot of buildings just mostly for background. This is, again, shops that are empty. This is my beloved Artist Alley, which is so beautiful. And I'm really still obsessed with it. And then we have this, which is a series of shops. So there's like a laundress. I believe this is somebody who sells hats. I can't remember what that other one is, but like this is just the series of shops. I still have space probably for one more on that lot, and I just haven't built it. The main marketplace, which I do feel like I should have somebody buy just so that I could send Sims here to shop. But in the meantime, it's really cool to look at, like above. Hartman's is the jewelry store, which is owned by Joseph Hartman, but as he's going to be a noble, he's no longer going to be allowed to own a business, so it's going to have to be sold. The way that I set this up is so it looks like there's a park kind of in the middle of this, or a courtyard. Technically, they only own this part, but I think it looks good when it's not being flashy. Or it's not even flashy, it's got the skirt. The Woodenry, which is owned by the Heydrich's family, Rhineland Heydrich. Strickland Bakery is definitely, it's probably too big for a bakery, but whatever. And then just another row of shops to fill in the gaps. And then we have a couple other shops here. So a cloth merchant, oh, okay, not a wool seller, cloth merchant, whatever. But I think this business, I'm gonna actually have them upgrade to be indoors because I feel like he loves the outdoors trait, or hates the outdoors trait, and he's grouchy every time. The Smith family. Oh, Joshua Smith. Okay, so his family's kind of odd. His mother's Albane. I think she still lives in Penrith or Tenby. But he recently came to, like, be a carpenter. His dad was a knight, but, like, an elder sim. I feel like he finally died in jail. But they sided with the Kentons, so, like, he went away for a long time and stayed with Augustina. And was kind of finished out his teen years with her, but he recently came back. He wasn't forbidden or in trouble or anything, so Orange just kind of let him be there. I did build a mage school. I don't think I'll ever run that lot, but like I have it. And it felt right to be in like kind of the merchanty section of town, which is my largest section of town by far. I've got more lots. They're just kind of empty. The fighting pits were kind of think gladiator, but not. It was part of an ABC challenge I did years ago now, I think 2 years ago. And I just wanted a place where like people could train. That's where the racetrack came from, that's where a lot of these came from. And yeah, that's basically it for them. There is this building over here, which is an alchemist. I don't have one, so kind of pointless at the moment. Decorative cows. I do want the Zeus Brotherhood to eventually purchase a community lot to sell wine. But this is the Zeus Brotherhood kind of chapter house, which is run by Caligero, not Peter, not Joseph, Toby. There's someone else, I can't remember, but yeah, that's the Zeus Brotherhood. They're trying to rehab their image. And then next to them is the cemetery, which I do really like that lot still. I think it looks good. And they're kind of in charge of that. Of course, we have the cloisters, which all teen sims in their last 5 days of being a teen are required to go here, no matter what your station is. Arndt Blumenthal's point with these was just to kind of make everybody interact and to see, oh, we're not so different. Like, it's a very idealistic idea, but you can't really knock him for it. So there's a little temple here that they can visit. It is run by, oh gosh. It's not St. Persephone. I don't remember which nuns these were. They're nuns of a specific type that I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a minute. Artemis? Might be Artemis. But yeah, so Azaria, Gretchen, and Ivy, and they're kind of in charge of the cloisters. So there's boys in this one, girls in this one. It's exactly the same. They're not required to do anything particular. They just have lots of options to do things. And yeah, that is Edirann as a whole. I don't know why I put Sid Rosalind here. To be real with you. Never mind, I do know why. Because I was like, why is he over there? Alessandro Drago ran away from home and I needed him to kind of be somewhere, but I also didn't want him to be with any of the main families, so Sid Rosalind has joined the chat. That's why. Who's in jail again? Huison and Adelard. Okay. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed seeing all of Edirann. Like I said, this is the very last bit, which I'm pretty sure I haven't shown you, but like, I don't want to watch. I blinked through the other 2 videos and it seemed like I didn't show you this part. And this is honestly the bread and butter. This is the fully decorated section. This is the section that I've spent a lot of time and effort working on. I still need to do a lot more. But for now, I think it's fine. Like I said, I would like to tentatively build it out that way and maybe 1 more row this way. Just because I do have, but like, I don't know. At the same time, like this is a lot of space. I don't think I would ever move Sims really up here unless they were like working at the mine or disgraced knights working at the watchtower. I don't even remember what the shrine looks like, to be honest. It's just kind of a sad little shrine. But yeah, like I don't really have a use for that, and this just exists because I was taking pictures at some point. So maybe I could build it out, but I don't know. I also still need to fill this whole area here. Has nothing. Who's gonna live here? Because it's not the gentry. They're over there. Merchants are here. Is it more regular folk? Because that's kind of who's over here. I don't know. I don't know. If you have any ideas, definitely let me know. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much for being here. If you have like 4 years on YouTube feels wild to me, especially this is such a niche thing. And I have so much fun just sharing my little worlds with you. So yeah, thank you so much. I'm gonna go because I'm tired. But if you like this video, please give a like and I will see you in the next one.